Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Melanin Margin, the weekly chat show where conversations about race are never off the table. We're your hosts, Quaviondre Williams.
And Daquon Wilson.
So let's get into this week's conversation. What's hot on the table this week? Now, we all know the tale of the starving artist, someone who lives an unglamorous life in the pursuit of a glamorous future. These artists often don't receive support from people around them or have the best financial situation or even a place to call home. They face a lot of shame from those around them for taking a chance on a dream yet to be achieved. So, Daquan, I want to ask you, do you ever get embarrassed from pursuing creative careers or being on the come up, quote unquote?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, being on the come up is like that ugly phase of when you're trying to grow out your hair and it just looks a mess. Like it's too short to do anything with it, but it's too long to just like look, nice and neat and cut and just like whatever. And so it can feel a little bit embarrassing. I know, especially when I started, social media and stuff like that. Like I didn't want people to in my real life to really see that because it's just like, like it's like, oh, like I'm not there yet. I'm not there
Yeah.
yet. And especially being somebody that's so like ambitious and so,
Mm-hmm.
just driven to like get there. It's like I want to get there. I want to like, almost move in silence, quote unquote, and just like
Mm-hmm.
get to where I need to be and be like, all right, I'm here. You see what I'm doing? Like it is what it is. But I really had to like unpack that of just like
Mm-hmm.
why do you feel embarrassed for pursuing your dream, pursuing something that you're passionate about? Like there's nothing that you should be embarrassed for, but I think that it's the societal you know pressures and the
Yeah.
societal perception of what you're doing. It's like, oh well, like it's so hard to do, there's so many people in this field, it's so saturated, there's like,
Yeah.
you're not at that million followers. You're not at that, high subscriber count. And so it's like,
Yeah.
you're not getting paid for it. So, like, why are you doing it? Like, it's just like so much time that you're spending on something that's not paying out. And you have to realize that that instant gratification is not it. You can't only focus on getting what you need out of something now. You got to plan and build for that long term investment in yourself.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think that for me, there's this kind of self-awareness that I had to kind of develop getting into this because, you know, seeing yourself at different stages of your journey, seeing where you came from, where you started, on the one hand, it can be a really amazing learning opportunity because you get to see how much you've grown as a performer. When I look back on some of my earlier work as a YouTuber, how I didn't really know the editing really well or how I didn't know about lighting and stuff like that. And, seeing my videos now, like looking at my first videos versus looking at the ones I've made recently, I do get a sense of pride from seeing that growth. And the same thing with my writing, I think that there is an understanding you have to have of where you are and what position you're in. So like when I first started writing my novel, my mom, when I first finished the first official draft of it, I think I was like, what, fucking 18 or something. And
Mhm.
when I first finished it, my mom was like, oh, girl, just submit. And I was like, it's not ready. I was like, it's not ready, not even close to being ready.
Mhm.
There was still so much stuff I had to workshop with it. There was still so much predictability that I had to fix about it. And they were still trying to find my narrative voice.
Right.
And, that's such a difficult thing. And that part of it was very kind of embarrassing for me because I was like, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to say? What kind of author am I? And so, once I got it, and mind you, that was 18. I'm 23 now. And I'm just now in the place where I'm like, oh, bitch, I know who I am as an author. I know the kind of storyteller that I am. But it took me having to be aware that right now I am not in the phase or in the stage to say, oh, yeah, it's ready to be seen by people. It's ready to be published or whatever, whatever. It was being self-aware enough to know at this point in my journey, I'm not ready. At this point in my journey, I'm still learning, I'm still growing. And the same thing with my YouTube. And then, as now, like even now, I'm still growing, I'm still changing. So I think that, there is a level of embarrassment that we have at just saying, "Ooh, girl, look, ooh, girl," like when I see those old videos of myself, or I see that old writing that I did before, I'm like, "Oh, bitch, what was you thinking?" But I think there's also a degree of kind of pride because I'm like, look at how far I've come. Look at how far I've grown as a writer, as a performer. Like even for you, I'm sure, Daquon, like when you look at your earlier makeup looks versus now, you're like, "Oh, bitch, I'm eating these girls up."
Listen, there were some looks back in the day where I thought I was that bitch, which like I am. Period.
Oh, bitch,
blank. I am. But the blends were not blending. The foundation was not matching. There was just like so many technical issues that like I can recognize more now than I could back then. And I think that is one of the hardest challenges of pursuing something like this and that you face when you're being a creative is realizing that you're not, the best of the best. You are not, the end all be all of your career. You can always grow, you can always evolve, you can always get better. And so as you grow, you're going to be like, well, how did I not know this earlier? Like, why wasn't I doing this earlier? And it's like, you have that time to grow and evolve. That's part of doing your art, and you have to realize that. And so it really takes a lot of time of just being like, you know what? This was the best that I gave back then. I have grown, I have learned, and I can do better now. Because that's all what posting is about. You're always trying to give your best. And when you compare your best to somebody else's best, and you're like, is this really my best? And you have to realize your best is your best, regardless of how it compares to others.
And I fully agree. I think there's also this idea of like, there's bravery that comes from every stage of your process. So like, when you look back at your earlier makeup looks, so when I look back at my earlier writing or my earlier YouTube videos, there is a little bit like, "Ooh, girl, what the fuck was that?" But like, there's also this level of like, "Bitch, but I still did it. I still got the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to write a book." And even though my first draft was not going to be the best of it, the fact that I was able to write one at all, the fact that you were brave enough to even paint your face at all is a testament to being like, you know what? I don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks. I'm going to do this and I'm going to work until I'm the fucking shit. I'm the baddest bitch that I can be, and I think that there's that kind of a lot of confusion in that area too, where some people are like, well, I'm not the best or I'm not the whatever. And baby, you will never be the best, but you can be the best version of whatever you are, whatever you're doing. You can be the best makeup artist Daquon can be. I can be the best writer that Andre can be. So like, I think that there's just a level of understanding that you have to have within yourself to know, I'm going to always be growing. I'm going to always be open to growth and becoming better. But every step of this journey is bravery. Every step of this journey is me still being a bad bitch. Because I was a bad bitch when I first started. I'm a bad bitch now, and I'll be a bad bitch then as well. So I think that there's that understanding too. But I want to ask you, Daquon, like, what are some of the hardest challenges you've had to face in this career path that you're in?
I think one of the hardest challenges has just been kind of getting over myself. I think that I have such, not an ego, because I don't think I'm egotistical, but I have a high standard bar, and I like to hold myself to that standard so much. And so there are times when, it's not going to hit that standard. And you're not always going to go up and up and up and up. And that is so frustrating. Like, I just want to grow. I just want to like get there. And I'm like, well, I got better. How am I regressing? And it's like, no, when it comes to being creative, it's going to be this ebb and flow. It's going to be the ups and downs of just like, maybe one day you're just feeling it. One day you're just like doing the damn thing. And another day you just have so much going on that like, you may have rushed yourself a little bit too much. You may not be feeling it. You may have so much on your mind that like you can't devote to really taking that time to, use all the techniques that you learn, use all like for makeup, really taking that time to blend, really taking that time to like take a pause, look at it, be like, all right, how do I fix what I need to fix? Is there something I need to fix? Is everything lining up? Are like the angles are right? Is everything just like blending together and looking cohesive? Or even with writing, am I using enough figurative language? Am I
Yeah,
being clear? Can I
yeah.
take a pause, look back at this with fresh eyes and be like, you know what? Like this character needs a little bit more characterization
Hmm.
or something like that. And that's a hard thing to realize that you may not always have that time to just be on the up and up and up. And it's fine if one day you're at a 100 and the next day you're at like a 40. That is a part of your journey.
Yeah, I agree. I think that for me, one of the hardest things about being in a creative career is time.
Mhm.
And I don't know about you, Daquan, but once I found out what I wanted to do with my life, I've always felt like there was a ticking clock, like counting down. And I know it's not there. There's people who get, really, find that kind of underground success or mainstream success at any point in time. It could be when you're 30, 40, 50, whatever, whatever age, 20, 16, 15, even younger than that. But like, ever since I found out what my career was, I was always like, the time shit was fucking with me really, really bad, especially early on. Even now, it still fucks with me sometimes because I'm like, and you're not supposed to do this, but sometimes you look at other people's journeys and you'll see where they are at the same age as you, and you're like, fuck, like, am I not doing enough? Am I not working hard enough? Am I not pushing myself enough? And I had to it's something I battle with every day sometimes, trying to know that, bitch, somebody else's walk is not your walk. Somebody else's success at whatever age it is just what they got. It was what was in the cards for them, was what was their destiny. You're not wasting off. You're not slacking off. You're taking time for yourself sometimes when you need it. You're taking that breather when you need it. You're going in and you're putting in the work, you're putting in the time, you're putting in the effort. And it's just that countdown I have to get out of. I have to get out of that mindset of thinking that I'm racing, that I have to get it all
Mhm.
done. I have to write it all. I have to write all the books right now because I don't know if I'm gonna be Brahmas tomorrow. I got to write all the whatevers right now. And I think that that's kind of something I've had to work on, is just being like, it's okay to breathe. It's okay that you're not posting every single day. It's okay that you're not writing every single day, hours and hours and hours on end. It's okay that you might want to take a breather between editing. It's okay to take time to just breathe.
I totally agree. I think that time really be fucking me up sometimes because I think especially especially in like makeup and beauty, you think about like, oh, I'm doing this on my face. As I get older, there's going to be more wrinkles, crow's feet, everything like that. So you want to take advantage of the youthful skin that you have now.
Yeah.
And there's not many older people in the industry as we see it.
Hmm.
They may be in different aspects, but the part I want to be in right now, you don't really see that type of perspective a lot of the times. But I think that realizing that it's okay to just take time, take that breather is something
Hmm.
that's so important. And it really dispels such a common myth in so many creative careers about consistency. Because all the
Mm.
time you'll see, you got to be consistent, you got to be consistent, but consistently looks different to different people and it looks different at different times. Like I
Ooh.
know when I first started out, I was like, okay, I'm gonna post 2 times a day. And I did that and I was fine. Like I was getting it. And then I started like getting more and more, and the numbers started numbering. And I was like, all right, like this is great. Like I want more of this. So I was like, let me move to 3 times a day. And like I did that and it really started working well. And I quickly moved to 4 times a day. And I was posting like 4 times a day. So I would have to film so much content.
Hmm.
And eventually I just got so burnt out because I was like, there's so much that I'm posting and I'm recording all of this stuff. And like, frankly, there are some times when I'm just like, I don't like any of this shit. Like, I don't want to post any of it. Like, I'm looking back at it and like it may be a good video, but I'm just not feeling it because I'm just tired, honestly.
Yeah.
And there was this time when, I was just like, I'm gonna take like a week or two from posting. And you know what? I was fine. Nothing didn't happen. There wasn't any like
Mm-hmm.
shadow banning or anything like that. If anything, like my numbers are doing pretty well right now. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like you can take that break. You can take that time because you can really reevaluate your entire situation. Take time to really focus on what is it that you want to focus on and not what you want, analytics to do or numbers or anything like that. What is it that you want to do? What you want to create, the stories you want to tell, and take that time to just think about it without having all of those pressures to put something out there.
Yeah, I think, and I fully agree. Like, I think there's so many myths in all of our career paths that, like, kind of we had dispelled once we kind of got into it. Like, for me, I know as a writer, like, one of the most common myths that you hear is like, the all you have to do is write. All that you have to do is write, and you'll be there. Everything else will just flow after that. That's a big load of bullshit. I want to tell
Hmm.
any writer that's watching, Daquon knows this too. Any writer that's watching or listening, you know, writing is the easy part because it's what you love to do. And when you're doing something you love, it's not work. But trying to get publishers, agents, trying to get things edited, trying to look into self, all of those things, the business side of it is so incredibly difficult because I was one of those people who made the mistake of believing that myth. And so for all that time that I was in high school and college, I was so focused on writing and not enough on networking and trying to have
Hmm.
a expansive group of people that I can pull from and talk to and develop core relationships with, who could probably get me in contact with maybe their agent or their publisher or someone that they know and stuff like that. Like, a lot of this industry, I think, is like, what is it? Like, I think it's like 20% talent and like 80% fucking networking and who you know and what you know and all kind of shit like that. So I
Right.
think that it's just, for me, I wish that I would have known early on that writing my book is just as important as finding editors, as finding agents, as learning how to network with people so that when I was ready to publish, I could get an editor who would probably be like, girl, I'll do it for you for free, girl, because I know you. We cool like that. And I see, X, Y, and Z, or I'll give you a lower price than I would somebody else because I know that you've been working and we're good friends kind of shit. What about you, Daquon? You know any myths in the makeup world that you have?
I think a myth is just like, or just like for any creative career ever, is like, oh, like if it's your hobby or it's something that you're passionate about, you'll find the time to do it. And it's like, mm, girl, listen, the the way things are set up is like we think, oh, you're just like making a 30-second video and posting that. Like that shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
take that much time. But then you're like, well, if I got to do a look for it, that look can take anywhere
Mm-hmm.
from an hour to 2 hours. I've had some that took like 4 to 5 hours to do everything. And so that plus whatever, like, a 30-second clip could take you like a minute to 5 minutes to film because you got to
Mm-hmm.
do all the takes, you got to get the editing
Mm-hmm.
perfectly, you got to do so much
Transitions, yeah.
transitions, everything like that. Then you got to think about captions. You got to think about what hashtags you're going to use. You
Yeah.
have to think about all of the analytical side. And then you're going to have to not only post that, but you can't post and go away. You got to engage with your community. You got to like see what's happening. You got to stick on top of current trends. And in reality, just posting that one video took you so much time. And so I think that especially when you have like a practical life per se, it's hard to find that balance. And I think that the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing that's helped me create that balance is really scheduling out specific time to do something
Yeah.
where it's just like, all right, regardless of what is going on, I'm going to devote this much time at this day to do it. Or even just taking some time where I'm like, you know what? I'm taking a day off work. I'm going to go somewhere and like have my own little creative retreat. Like I've done this
Mm-hmm.
before of just like going to a hotel, filming a whole bunch of content and just taking that time away from everything else that's going on in the world to just do that and batch record a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
and you realize how much you can get done in that time when that's the only thing that you have to devote your energy and time towards.
Absolutely. I think for me too, with balancing that work-life balance, the career-life balance, I think that I think that there's a level of, like you said, scheduling that you have to do when you're doing something you love, because you want to make sure that, I didn't realize this too, but because of how flow affects us, and if you know what that is,
Mhm.
it's like it's creativity plus productivity, I think is what it's called. But
Right.
essentially, we think we're in the flow that we're not working. It's what we love to do. Somebody explained this to me a while back. They were like, when you are writing and when you are acting or performing or doing your makeup, whatever, you're still working. That's not relaxing. That's not breathing. That's not taking a break. Even though it might feel like it because it's something that you love to do, that's
Right.
not what it actually, that's not what's happening. So I think that I had to realize that for me, yes, I love writing. I love YouTubing. I love creating. I love this talk show. I love doing these things. But I also have to remember, you have to take time for you. You have to take
Mm.
time where you're not filming, where you're not writing, where you're not YouTubing, that you're just spending time with yourself. Because sometimes you can lose yourself in your art. And that is a very dangerous road to walk down.